My name is Alana Smith, and I am in 1301 History for Lamar State College. And in this video, I will be talking about two very important women in history, Emma Hart Willard and Clara Barton. I will be discussing their separate lives and how they grew up to be great influences for women today. I hope you find this video very informative and interesting on women's history. First, Emma Hart Willard was born on February 23rd in 1787 and grew up to be one of the most important American educators to work with women's education. She is the founder of Troy Female Seminary, in which sparked the formation of high schools for girls, women's colleges, and co-educational universities. This is her life story. Willard was second to last to be born out of her 17 siblings and was encouraged at a young age by her father to acquire an education. When she was 15 years old, she enrolled into her first school, an academy in her hometown of Berlin, Connecticut. With her rapid learning skills, she began teaching there just 2 years later, and 2 years after that, she was head of the academy. In 1807, she taught briefly at an academy in Westfield, Massachusetts, only to soon move to a girls' academy in Middlebury, Vermont, to become a principal. In the year of 1809, she married a man named John Willard, who had a nephew that attended Middlebury College. He gave her the first insight on how vast the difference of men and women's education opportunities really were. She began to educate herself with her nephew's school textbooks on different subjects, such as geometry and philosophy. In 1814, Emma Hart opened the Middlebury Female Seminary in her home, and over the next few years, she demonstrated that women are just as capable of learning and teaching subjects that were, at the time, thought only suitable to men. With the success of her school, Willard decided to write an address to the public, particularly the members of the legislators of New York, proposing a plan for improving female education in 1819. People such as Thomas Jefferson and John Adams read the pamphlet, but unfortunately, the legislators who were addressed failed to respond. Their reasoning for not responding was the contrary belief that certain academic studies were against God's will. But it all ended up working out in the end, with the New York governor, DeWitt Clinton, inviting Willard to open a school in his state. That very same year, Willard moved to Waterford, New York, and opened a school. Following that, in 1821, the town council of Troy, New York, raised money to build a girls' school, and was later called Troy Female Seminary. It opened in September of 1821, and is still known to be one of the most influential schools in the United States. It was the first public school for girls that taught science, mathematics, and social studies. During the success of her school, Willard published several educational textbooks and a poem book, with the poem Rocked in the Cradle of the Deep being her most memorable. Willard remained head of Troy Female Seminary until 1838, by which hundreds of graduates have been shaped by her teachings. Her later years were filled with traveling, lecturing, and writing, including representing the United States at the World's Educational Convention in London. She passed away on April 15, 1870, and the Troy Female Seminary was later renamed the Emma Willard School in 1895. Now, Clara Barton's story. Clara Barton was born on December 25th in 1821 and grew up to be the founder of the American Red Cross, which was created to aid Americans suffering from injuries from disasters or serving on the battlefield during the Spanish-American War. Barton was educated from a young age, and at 17 years old, she started teaching. In 1850, she moved to Clinton, New York, to attend at the Liberal Institute and expand her knowledge. In 1852, she established a free school in Barton, New York, that grew so large that the local townsmen no longer allowed a woman to run it. Barton did not want to take orders from a male principal, so she resigned and moved to Washington, D.C., and was hired by the U.S. Patent Office from 1854 to 1860. Then came the outbreak of the American Civil War, and Barton took initiative in organizing facilities to recover soldiers' lost baggage and in securing medicine and supplies for men that were wounded. She gained permission to pass through the battle lines to pass out supplies, search for soldiers who were MIA, and nurse the wounded. Barton carried on this work throughout the remainder of the Civil War, and in 1864, she was formally appointed as Superintendent of Nurses for the Army of the James, which was an independent union for the American Civil War. She became so known for her great work in the war that President Abraham Lincoln requested that she set up a Bureau of Records to aid in the search for missing men. In 1869, the Franco-Prussian War broke out in Europe, and Barton again distributed relief supplies to the war victims. When she was there, she associated with the International Red Cross, which gave her the idea to bring it to the United States. Once she got back in 1873, she campaigned and fought for the United States to sign the Geneva Treaty, an agreement that allowed the treating of the sick and wounded of the battle, the proper identifying and burial of those killed in battle, and the proper handling of prisoners of war. Finally, 8 years later, she organized the American Association of the Red Cross and served as president until 1904. She wrote the American Amendment to the Constitution of the Red Cross, which not only provided relief for war, but also famines, floods, earthquakes, tornadoes, and pestilence. Barton devoted herself entirely to the organization and worked to help even as late as the Spanish-American War in Cuba, when she was 77 years old. In 1900, the Red Cross had been taken over by Congress and forced Barton to resign 4 years later. She passed away on April 12th of 1912. Her achievements remain engraved in American history, and she will forever be known as the angel of the battlefield. That is the two stories of two very important women in American history who have helped shape who women are today. Thank you.